Every year, on the Feast of the Three Kings, January the 6th, old Befania visits all the children of Italy and leaves them candies and cookies and gifts. It's said that she's searching for the Christ child. There's so many stories about the old Befania and how she began and how she searched. This is one of them. And the old Befania, I always thought it was a witch, because everyone that had it, she had a broom, and they said that it was a witch when I was a little girl. And I was afraid, and I used to say, I don't want the witch to come. In a small house on the outskirts of a small village in Italy lived old Befania. She lived all alone, and she wasn't very friendly. Every person who went near her never dared to knock on her door, and she still never let them in when they did. I have no time for visitors, she said. The children didn't like her either. Cranky old lady, they said. Away with you, as she was sweeping away. See? I was afraid too, and I lived here, and I knew about everything, but I never knew about old Befania. That was true. Every day, every morning, afternoon, old Befania would sweep with her broom. She swept her little house, she swept her front steps, she swept the walks, all the way down to the road. You know, when I was a little girl growing up, I used to see all the grandmothers do that. They would clean, and everyone would keep everything clean. Sometimes the delicious smell of things, bacon, would drift from old Befania's house. I wonder what she's baking, asked the neighbors. Some nights they thought her singing lullabies. Crazy old Befania, they called her. One evening, after old Befania had eaten her dinner and swept her kitchen clean, she began to get ready for bed. She locked the doors, shut the windows, then she climbed into bed and blew out the lamp. I wonder what she's going to do. In the middle of the night, old Befania woke up. The room was so bright. How can that be, she asked. My lamp is out, my windows are shuttered, but still my house is filled with light. She got out of bed, crossed on the cold floor, and when she opened the shutter, a sudden burst of light came in that room. You ever feel in the morning when you wake up and you feel the sun? Today's a gorgeous day too, where you can feel that sun. Well, she felt that light. In the eastern sky, she saw a brilliant star which seemed to grow before her eyes. She thought to herself, closing the shutter tightly, I must go back to bed. It must be a dream. However, she never went to sleep. All night she tossed and turned. She didn't sleep a wink. She saw the stars and the light all coming through. Skip a page. At dawn, old Befania got up and dressed. She ate her breakfast, and what else she do? She took her broom, as she always did, and every day and every morning, every afternoon, she swept her little house, she swept the front steps, she swept the walkway, all the way down to the road. Old Befania stopped and listened. She heard bells tingling. It's probably just the wind, she said. And she kept sweeping and sweeping. Again, she heard these little bells. It's probably just the birds singing. Sweep, sweep, sweep. One more, she heard the sound. She goes, my old ears must be playing tricks. And she kept sweeping, sweeping. Suddenly over the hill came this most glorious procession old Befania's ever seen. Camels and horses and elephants and people. What a splendid sight. Halfway back on the road, 3 royal-looking men, dressed in jewels and robes, my kind, wearing crowns upon their heads. I think I look good in a crown, too. I think we all like to look good in crowns. I don't like to sweep, though. The procession stopped. The 3 kings got down and came up to the front and old Befania. Please, said one of the kings in the royal voice, is this the way to Bethlehem? How could I said old Befania. I've never even heard of it. And she began to sweep. We are searching for the child, the second king. Do you know him? There are many children, said old Befania, sweeping still. But this one is the king, said the third. I know nothing of royal matters, she said. Our books have told us, said the kings. Then when a bright star appears, the child king will be born in Bethlehem. And the star I've seen, said the old Bethania, it kept me awake all night. Now, if you excuse me, I have to go to work, she said. And she made sure she had a sweep, but remember, she saw the light. The procession started up again. Old woman called the boy who was leading the camel. You should come with us, the child said. This is the baby king, has come to change the world. He comes for us, he comes for the poor. We're bringing him some gifts. The old Bethania paused. She watched the procession wind down the road. A child king, she murmured, Bethlehem. Oh, I think I'll sweep, sweep, sweep. Then someone's going to come change the world, coming for the poor. Well, heavens knows old Bethania's poor, and she kept swapping gifts for only a child. Huh, she said, and kept sweeping and sweeping and sweeping. I should have her come to my house and sweep. Or maybe yours, because we know how much we like to sweep. Old Bethania went back into her house, and perhaps I should go see him. But what do I have to take for him? She put down her broom, she got some butter and some sugar and some flour, and she blew on the fire. Now you step with the fires. And she began to sing. She baked all day. She didn't even sweep. She didn't sweep. It's almost dark when she finished. She filled the basket with all these cakes and goodies and candies, and she had made them and put a few coals in the little pot to keep the cookies warm. Well, she said. So she put on her shawl, opened the door. I'll take my broom along, for baby King's mother will be tired. Old Bethania's job, and she slept all day. It won't take me long, she said. So she put down the basket and began to sweep. She swept her little house. She swept the steps. She swept the walkway. She swept all the way down to the road. She locked her door and gathered up her basket. She pulled her shawl around her and took her broom. Old Bethania was on her way at last, and she ran and she ran and she ran till her legs couldn't carry her, and they were so tired from running. She sat down. But then she got right back up and started running and running, because she saw the star was so bright. Her breath came short, her legs were aching, but she ran and she ran, maybe a little bit slower, but she ran and she sat beside the road. Old Bethania could run no more. I should have left earlier. I'll never catch up, she cried. Where is Bethlehem? She closed her eyes and gave a long sigh. I'll never find the baby king. Do you think she'll find him? Suddenly the sky was filled with light, and heavenly angels sang, Glory to all men and women. The new king is born. Tonight is the night of miracles. Old Bethania rose to her feet. Tell me where he is, she cried, picking up her basket and her broom. I bring gifts to the child. She began to walk, then she ran again. This night of miracles, the angels sang once more. Wait, she shouted, you must help me. Show me the way to Bethlehem. Old Bethania began to feel lighter. She ran faster and faster. It took her breath away. She was like flying. She was running in the sky. She was running in the sky. It was the night of miracles. Old Bethania never caught up at last. She never found the child in Bethlehem, but she's still searching. And till this day, every year, the Feast of the Three Kings, January the 6th, old Bethania runs across the sky. She visits all the children while they sleep and leaves them gifts from her basket. She takes her broom and sweeps all the rooms clean. For after all, O Bethania, I'll never know what child might be the king of Bethlehem. She wants to make sure they have everything. So when I was a little girl, and my grandmother told me this story, I was still afraid. Because when you go in some of the places, you'll see an old lady witch. That's what we thought. O Bethania means witch. With her broom. And you put them over your kitchen for good luck because she loved to cook and the smell was so good. And on January 6th, we used to get cookies and treats, and it was special. It wasn't Christmas. It wasn't gifts you could buy. It was gifts that you could make from the heart. You can make a card for someone. You can make cookies. But I would go to sleep, and I'd still be scared. But I was hoping she'd sweep my room, and I would wake up, and my room was clean. And I'd look around, and I could smell the cookies. They were so good. We had the S cookies. And I thought, oh, Bafani made the S cookies for me for Sefatia. I was so happy there was S cookies, and I could tell, Mom, she came. And my mother would say, who came? Oh, Bafania. And she'd say, oh, nobody came. Yes, my room is clean, and I have the S cookies. She goes, cookies? There's no cookies. Yes, look, there's cookies, and there's some candies, and there's everything. And look, you can tell it's not old, it's fresh. Look, and oh, it's so good. And my room's clean. My room's all clean. I don't believe it, my mother would say. Well, Grace is only, and I had a baby sister, Grace, she's only a baby. She didn't clean. And I know my older sisters wouldn't clean. They never wanted to help me. So I know my room was all clean. Everything was all put away. I used to say, and everything's all clean. Come look. Okay, I'm coming. And she comes, she goes, wow, you did a good job. But I didn't. I left everything a mess. I left everything on purpose in a mess. I threw things on the floor, Mom. I threw my clothes over there. I just wanted to see if it was true. And I woke up and everything's clean. Everything's put away. And I had my cookies right here. And look, there's the little candies. Look, the hot candies from Italy. The little round ones. Well, you can't eat them now, but I already had a cookie. Mom, she left me two, but I only showed you one. I already ate it. It was so good. It was still warm. It was still warm. I could smell it in the house, Mom. She's around. And I'd say, well, Grace was only a baby, so she wouldn't know. So she only has her bottle. So I run around the house and run around, and my sisters are older, and their rooms were messy. Mine was so clean. And I was so thankful. I'd look out the window to see if I see her. I'm still a little scared, but guess what? My room was clean, and I still make the S cookies, and I don't know when she'll come again. I guess you have to believe. Sometimes we forget to believe, or our friends will tell us, oh, you're just being silly. You're too old for those things. Those aren't real. But guess what? I believe with all my heart. And if I believe, so can you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye, children.